Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So, a new story just broke in The Atlantic about how Trump basically just mocks people of any religious faith, truly. But even his Christian supporters and evangelical supporters, and this is nothing new. I mean, if you've read Michael Cohen's book, you know that Trump has no respect for religion. The guy is the biggest fraud when it comes to this. So here's just a tidbit of the article. It was pretty long, but I'll just give you a few bits and pieces. So the Atlantic writes that there was a September 2016 meeting in which Trump met with about a dozen different really influential, famous religious, evangelical, and Christian leaders. And they obtained a recording of that meeting. In it, Trump is heard saying, quote, "The first time I met Mike Pence," he didn't say his name, but he was referring to him, he said, "Will you bow your head and pray?" And I said, "Excuse me, I'm not used to it." And apparently later he interrupted, the group was discussing the topic of religious freedom, and he interrupted that conversation to make fun of Senator Ben Sass. So he interrupts and he says, "I call him Little Ben Sass. I have to do it. I'm sorry. That's when my religion always deserts me." I mean, first of all, you didn't have any religion to desert you. It never existed. And second, does he think he's being witty? Like, does he think that just putting the word little in front of everyone's name is some great achievement? Little Ben Sass, little Marco Rubio. He's like a 6-year-old. He's like one of those annoying 6-year-olds whose parents have just taught him that everything he does and says is hysterical. And then he goes around other adults who don't love him. And he tries all the same ridiculous jokes, and nobody wants to be rude or tell him that he's annoying and it's stupid. So they just go along with it and they laugh, that polite, pandering kind of laugh. But oh my gosh. So there were more quotes. There was a former Trump campaign advisor who told The Atlantic that Trump's view was, quote, "I've been talking to these people for years. I've let them stay at my hotels. They're going to endorse me. I played the game." And then Barbara Rez, a former executive at the Trump Organization, she said, quote, "I always assumed he was an atheist." A former Trump campaign staffer named AJ Delgado said, quote, "He's not a religious guy." And his niece, Mary Trump, said, quote, "Whenever I see a picture of him standing in a group of pastors, all of their hands on him, I see a thought bubble with the words, 'What suckers?'" Yeah, as I said, anybody who knows anything about Trump knows the guy is the farthest thing from religious. I mean, he is the antithesis of a Christian. The guy is literally having unprotected sex with porn stars behind his wife's back while she's pregnant. That's a Christian to you? And, let's look at how he got this support. Well, first, let me tell you, in case you haven't read Cohen's book, there's an excerpt in the book where he talks about, I believe it was 2011 or 2013, somewhere around there, when Trump was originally thinking of running for office. And so he brought in a bunch of evangelical leaders because he knew that that was going to be a good base and he needed their support. So they all come in, they're all talking, they're all excited about him, and they all decided to lay their hands on him and pray over him. Michael Cohen said that he knew Trump was freaking out because he's a germaphobe, he doesn't like to be touched. But he, lowers his head, he bows his head reverently. And Michael Cohen said he was blown away because he knew Trump was not a religious person, that he made fun of religion, and he knew that this was all a game. It was all play acting. But Trump pulled it off, and then they all left. They all decided that, oh, it wasn't the right time. You should wait before you run. And Trump agreed because things were going well on The Apprentice at the time. They all left. And as soon as they were out the door, he tells Michael Cohen, can you believe this bullshit? Can you believe that they believe this bullshit? That's what he thinks of religion. But here's how he got their support. So this was another thing that was in Michael Cohen's book. And it's kind of all coming out now. I mean, with all the information that's now come into the public sphere about Jerry Falwell Jr. and his wife, we now see. Because Jerry Falwell Jr. was really the tipping point. He was the one that kind of made it all happen and really helped to get all the evangelical leaders to prop up Trump and support him. And the reason is because Michael Cohen did him favors. There was a scandal that broke out. Jerry Falwell Jr. was apparently taking photos of his wife on, I believe it was a new tractor that they had purchased. And they started playing around, you know, husband and wife, and she started unbuttoning her shirt. And then he said the next thing you knew, her shirt was off, and he's snapping pictures of her, and it got kind of risque. And apparently someone had gotten a hold of those pictures and was threatening them, was threatening to use them against them, and basically blackmailing them. So Michael Cohen stepped in and made it go away. He handled it for them. He got the pictures back. They never saw the light of day, and it all went away. He also got them, which is not that big of a deal, but their daughter was a fan of, I believe it was Justin Bieber, and he got their daughter front row seats, like VIP seats at an event, and then she got to go backstage or something. So they felt, obviously, from the first incident that I mentioned, they felt that they owed him, and they were pretty close with Michael Cohen. It sounds like they had developed quite a friendship. They would have dinner with each other at each other's homes. And so he felt that he owed him. And so he stepped up and he helped to bring that evangelical group in to support Trump. So we can thank Michael Cohen and Jerry Falwell for this nightmare. But here's something that was really interesting from the article in The Atlantic. According to Pew Research Center, they said that white evangelicals are more than twice as likely as the average American to say that the president is a religious man. And some conservative pastors insist that he has accepted Jesus Christ as his savior. I'm sorry, how gullible are these people? You can't possibly be that blind. I mean, oh my God. Do they even get that this turns people away from religion? Do they get that when people see this kind of stuff, when they see them propping Trump up on a pedestal, knowing who he is, that this is a guy who's literally admitted on tape to sexually assaulting women, talking about grabbing them by the genitals and how you can get away with it when you're wealthy and famous, and all the stuff he said to Howard Stern, and that he's accused by, what is it now, like 50 women of sexual assault, including 3 rapes, cheated on every wife, cheated every business partner he's ever had, cheated everybody who's ever done work for him. The fact that they can't see through this, says so much about them. Anyway, guys, as always, like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.